Welcome back, everybody. We are keeping it moving here. And yesterday, the 15th of March, was World Consumer Rights Day. And of course, the music gives you a little indication of the type of conversation we're going to have, because you, as the consumer, need to know your rights. So joining me this morning to tell us more from the Consumer Affairs Division, it's Claudette Jordan-John, who's the Acting Director and Consumer Guidance and Protection of the CAD, as I mentioned before. That is with the Ministry of Trade and Industry. All right, so good morning, Claudette, and welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning to the members of the viewing public and listening public also.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us this morning. Now, yesterday, the 15th of March, was World Consumer Rights Day, and it is a day that is commemorated to highlight the rights of the consumer and to make wary of the abuses that does happen in the industry when it comes to consumer affairs. Could you tell us how the Consumer Affairs Division observes World Consumer Rights Day?
Yes. Usually, prior to the pandemic, we used to have something big, either an outreach or some type of things like that. But because of the pandemic, we had to scale down. So we had a webinar to begin with. So the webinar took place yesterday, and I must say it was well received. But for the month of March, commencing the 1st of March, we have been doing virtual lectures to certain secondary schools to get the word out there to the young people, because the young people would be the ones who would be leading us in the future. So we are having lectures, perhaps sometimes two per day, to certain secondary schools.
Right.
So that was the main. That is the main way we are celebrating this year.
And continuing to inform the public. So let's get a little more specific now. When it comes to the rights of the consumer, not everyone is aware of what is within their rights and what is not within their rights. So could you just go through with us some of the main things that the average consumer should know?
Okay. So all of us, because we are all consumers at one point or the other, we have 8 basic rights. And those rights, I wouldn't go into too much detail, but we have the right to choose. That simply means that when we go to an establishment to buy something, you have the right to select the item you want, bearing in mind the price and your pocket. You have the right to information. So when you are going to buy the item, the store clerk should be able to give you some information about it. However, we also urge consumers to do their own research at home, to either check online to find out about the item. There are a lot of reviews, or you can ask members of your family or friends and how they feel about a certain item and what information they have. You have the right to safety. So when you purchase a product, it should be safe for use and should not cause harm should not cause bodily harm. So if you buy a refrigerator, it should not be shocking. Right. If you buy toys for your children, it shouldn't contain poisonous substance. You also have the right to complain. So if you purchase a product and it's not working, it's defective in some way, you have the right to complain to the store owner, and they ought to give you some sort of redress. And stemming from that, you have the right to redress. Redress means some fair sort of outcome for your complaint. So you can either be given a refund, a partial refund, an exchange, a repair, a credit note. So all those are valid forms of redress. You have the right to consumer education, and this interview is one form of consumer education, educating members of the public. And as I said previously, we do lectures to schools, groups, churches, anybody who requests a lecture. We do that as a means of educating the public population so that they become more empowered in their transactions. You have the right to the satisfaction of basic needs. So all your at least access to the basic needs, access to proper healthcare, education, that sort of thing. And one of the important ones that ties in nicely with this year's World Consumer Rights Day theme is the right to a healthy and sustainable environment.
Right.
So that means you as a consumer, you are responsible for having your environment clean and tidy and safe.
Right.
Businesses has the responsibility to ensure that their work process, their manufacturing processes and all such safe for the members of the public to help preserve the environment. So those are some of the rights that consumers have.
Wonderful. One of the rights that is usually abused or not observed, and consumers have a complaint about is some places telling them there's a no return policy on certain things. Are stores or are suppliers able to rightfully do something like that?
No. Having such signs is an abuse of, well, not abuse, that's not the correct word, it's a breach of the Adverse Trade Practices Order 2000. So it is an offense for anybody in the course of a business to place signs like no exchange, no refund, no exchange on sale items. It is a breach to have that on your bill, placed next to the cash register, hung in the stores, anything like that.
And what is
the reason why it's a breach is because when someone, a member of the public, see that, they would get the impression that they cannot complain if something is wrong with the item.
Right.
Remember, if they have no exchange on sale items, a sale is a reduction in price, not a reduction in quality.
Right.
So you don't want to make the consumer feel that they don't have a legitimate reason to complain if they have a complaint.
And what is the way someone can redress or get recourse in the event, like say the sales clerk or the management of the company is adamant that they would not accept the return? What is something that the consumer can do?
Are you speaking about in terms of the Adverse Trade Practice Order or generally?
Yeah, let's say generally.
Okay. Well, that is when, well, of course, we always advise consumers if they have a problem with a product to return to the store to see if they can get redress. So if they can't get redress at the store, then they come to the Consumer Affairs Division. Now we are not seeing people face to face. We are dealing virtually, right? So we take complaints via our email or Facebook, as the case may be. So they will contact us, send the relevant documentation, which is your invoice or your bill is a very important one. If you have any hire purchase documentation, anything with regards to the complaint, as well as a summary of the complaint and certain other documents, certain other information like a name, address, telephone number, and all of that, then we'd open our file and proceed to investigate on your behalf.
All right, wonderful. And just before we go, if individuals were interested in participating in the lectures or getting more information, how can they do so?
Consumers or members of the public or organizations, they can contact us on our toll-free number, 800-4277. They can follow us on Facebook, Consumer Affairs TT. They can email us, consumeraffairs@gov.tt. And we will take it from there.
All right.
So Carrie, before I go, I just want to inform members of the public of a poster competition that we have going in celebration of World Consumer Rights Day for students between the ages of 12 years old and 17 years old. And we also have a photo challenge, which will be coming up soon. So you can check our Facebook page, or you can call our toll-free number for information on it.
All right. Well, Claudette, Jordan, John, thank you so much for your time this morning, and thank you for the information as well. We're going to take a short break and come back with much more right here on the Now Morning Show.